Police have arrested at least 50 people in the southeast of Iran after protesters attacked banks and demonstrated against the government. The demonstrations continue in the country 5 weeks after the death of a woman in police custody that sparked public outrage. Meanwhile, Iranians outside the country are calling on Western nations to do more to help and to ensure the safety of those arrested.
The latest eruption of anger in Iran. In footage recorded on Friday, hundreds of angry protesters in the city of Zahedan chant "Death to the dictator" in reference to Ayatollah Khamenei, the Islamic Republic's leader. The wave of public dissent gripping Iran in the wake of the death of Jina Mahsa Amini while in police custody is highly unusual. In this footage from the capital Tehran, a man has climbed a billboard to spray graffiti. The ad says, "The earth bears gold." He is writing, "And clerics steal the gold." Iranian voices outside the country, like the National Council of Resistance of Iran, have been stepping up their own protests, such as this one in Brussels, close to where EU leaders were holding a two-day summit.
We're asking that the European community and the European Union tune their tone towards the Iranian regime to what the Iranian people are asking in the streets in Iran. They're asking regime change. They don't want any appeasement with this regime.
In an address to the UN Security Council this week, the US made its view clear.
The eyes of the entire world are on Iran right now. Courageous and brave Iranians from across society, women and men, are protesting the death of Mahsa Amini. They are protesting the fact that she was killed by the Iranian morality police for the crime of being a woman.
But Iran has warned Western governments not to interfere.
Iranian women are smart, well-educated, dedicated, and patriotic, and are aware of their rights. They also understand how to engage with the government in a peaceful and constructive manner in order to advance their rights. Therefore, we advise those Western states that they are not required to act as guardians or caretakers of Iranian women or speak on their behalf.
Yet, speak on their behalf is what many of those protesting want, given the scale of the challenge they face in standing up to the autocracy which has ruled their country for more than 40 years.
Joining me now in studio is Sima Sabet. She's a presenter and reporter with Iran International Television. Thanks for joining us here on DW News. As we saw in that report, the protests have been going on for weeks now. This is unusual in Iran. What do you think is giving people this courage to come out on the streets and protest like they are?
Human dignity. The main chanting has been woman, life, freedom. So I think this was the time that people felt that enough is enough. Like killing a 22-year-old girl on holiday in Tehran just because she was not covered properly, unacceptable. This was something that every single Iranian family could relate to. And finally, there was a moment that they then, everyone was extremely frustrated, extremely angry. And this feeling like that a 22-year-old was beaten to death and then the government lied brought extreme anger amongst people. So everyone took to the street. It started from the Kurdistan, Kurdish populated areas that Mahsa came originally from. And then the bravery came from the family because they were not intimidated by the pressures that they were getting from the security forces, and the bravery of the journalists who they dared to go and cover it. Niloufar Hamedi, the journalist who covered the story at the hospital, the Kasra hospital in Tehran, she's still in prison. She's arrested. Family don't know what is happening to her under interrogation, but she was brave to do it.
Yeah, and you're talking about this issue of even the truth of the story and how to even get that out. Journalists are at the forefront, but obviously under severe restrictions in Iran. How is this story actually being covered in the local media? Are they having the room to be able to cover it?
But the outside media have a little bit more freedom in terms of reporting it. With shutdown of internet, we have had Iran International is one of them. We have been on this story for weeks. Non-stop reporting on that. Yesterday, they announced that, they put like Islamic Republic put BBC and Iran International under sanctions. Today, I heard one of the judiciaries wanted the journalists to be listed as terrorist groups. So this is how they try to intimidate people covering it. And inside also there has been like massive bravery amongst journalists. Everyone is trying to do their parts from inside and outside.
Yeah, and speaking of inside and outside, we've got the protests in Iran, but we've also got protests abroad.
Yes.
How are these being seen, the international condemnation of what's going on? How's that being seen, particularly by the regime?
Well, of course, they're not happy with it because, I mean, there is finally bits of truth are coming outside. Finally, people are listening to the grief of Iranians. And this sense of unity that we see inside Iran, I mean, there were always like these sort of things that, I mean, the government was saying that if I'm not there, there would be internal war. If I'm not there, there would be lack of securities, etc., etc. Now you can see that people inside Iran are, like, I mean, different sections of Iran are supporting each other, inside and outside. You see the mass demonstration that was in Toronto. We will have something today. The organizers are expecting like more than 100,000 to participate. So these two are covering everyone. Every Iranian tries to do something, anything that they can.
All right. Journalist Seema Sabet, thank you for your analysis on the story.
Thank you.